All right, Supreme Court split 4-4 today in a case that was challenging President Obama's immigration plan that was leaving in place. The decision leaves in place a lower court ruling that blocks President Obama's executive order that was intended to shield as many as 5 million undocumented immigrants from deportation. Shortly after the court ruled, President Obama had this to say in the White House briefing room.
This is election year, and during election years, politicians tend to use the immigration issue to scare people with words like amnesty in hopes that it will whip up votes. Keep in mind that millions of us, myself included, go back generations in this country, with ancestors who put in the painstaking effort to become citizens.
Both the presidential candidates also weighed in. Hillary Clinton put out a campaign statement that read in part, quote, "This decision is a stark reminder of the harm Donald Trump would do to our families, our communities, and our country. Trump has pledged to repeal President Obama's executive actions on his first day in office. He's called Mexican immigrants, quote, rapists and murderers, and he's called for creating a deportation force to tear 11 million people away from their families and their homes." Donald Trump's statement said this: "The election and the Supreme Court appointments that come with it will decide whether or not we have a border and hence a country." Clinton has pledged to expand Obama's executive amnesty, hurting poor African American and Hispanic workers by giving away their jobs and federal resources to illegal immigrant labor while making us all less safe. So, John, how is the Supreme Court decision, which again upholds the lower court ruling against the president, what impact is that going to have in the presidential race?
Well, of course, it's a decision by non-decision, right? It's a 4-4 split. So it just points out how important this last ninth seat is on the Supreme Court. That has always raised the stakes for this presidential election and given both candidates, in some sense, a powerful card to play. This is the future of the country. Rests on who gets elected next in some of these areas. Rests on who gets in the White House next and gets to maybe appoint that ninth justice. Look, I think that the politics of immigration, given the nature and the demography of the country, favor Democrats, and I think that Hillary Clinton is playing a winning hand here in terms of driving Hispanic turnout, which is going to be huge in terms of her ability to beat Donald Trump.
The only advantage I think this gives Trump, because I think it largely does help energize Hillary Clinton in states that she could use the help, is it allows Donald Trump to talk about immigration not in terms of the wall. The wall has become such a hot button issue. It allows him to maybe make an appeal on the use of executive orders, which certainly at least energizes the Republican base, and also the question of the border. So to the extent immigration is a winning issue for Republicans, I think this gives Donald Trump a better chance than just talking about the wall to make it so.
I'm sort of fascinated by, we haven't really heard Trump talk about the wall much recently, and I'm wondering whether, it's obviously intentional. It's not an accident. I'm wondering to the extent to which he will go back to the wall, or the extent to which he can escape the wall, even if he doesn't go back to it.
More likely he can escape it. Yeah, it's in his interest.
Yeah, I wonder if that's the case. It's just a little unclear. This is going to be another case, though, where between President Obama and Hillary Clinton, both on the same side, pushing this issue in a really hard way. I think it's hard to imagine. I can see how it can play to Trump's benefit in a small way. It plays Democrats' advantage, I think, in a much bigger way.
I agree, and certainly in the short